What I really like about the film is that you have a very non-typical main character. You have a character which is killing people for a living, and is at the same time he's kind of our hero. I like that conflict. You can trust this man 100%. If he says he's going to do something, he's going to follow through. If he loves a woman, he wants to marry her, he's going to marry that woman. I mean, he's not going to go into a discussion about that he can't marry her because society deems that this woman is an untouchable, as it is. He hasn't learned the art of compromise. That's that's lacking in this man's character. He does not know how to compromise. But that's what you have to learn, in a modern life.
You have participated already in big budget Hollywood productions already. Do you see a specific difference between a European production and a Hollywood production, not just in terms of the money?
No, I think the money is a big factor. I'm not talking about the salaries for actors and all that. I'm talking about, I think the biggest obstacle we have is that we're making a huge film here on a very tight budget, and we have very little time to do it. I think that is, we need more funding. That's what we need. We need a bit more money, because this is a struggle. I think that is the biggest thing.
You play a very strong woman. Could you tell me a little bit more what you portray, what this Anna is all about within this story?
I think for me, she's, as I was saying, I think she almost kind of represents the most humane aspect of the society. I think she and Martin really are the two characters in the screenplay who just want to do good and who want to kind of try and make a big difference. And I think for her, she's been someone who's been brought up in a very isolated, masculine environment, but she's had to look after this family. Her mother died when she was very young, and she's had to kind of be strong and independent and sort of knock back all the kind of rejection that she's had from society. And as a result, I think what's come out is almost a very modern woman in her day. Obviously it's kind of very specific historical time, but I think within the world that she lives in, she's kind of thinks in a very modern way. I think the isolation is the really important thing for her.
When you read the script, or in general, when you read the script, what makes you decide to take a role?
For me, it's about strong women. I can't think of anything more kind of dull than playing the kind of typical ditzy, unintelligent, female. For me, she is strong and passionate, and she's really able to love and to be sensitive, but at the same time, she's incredibly strong individual, and I think for me that was really appealing. But also because it's a period piece, and I think to really get involved with a certain period of time and be faithful to that period of time in every way possible was fascinating. And nowadays you don't really get that much opportunity to play period roles. Certainly not ones with women quite like her,
So you play the part of Georg, who is basically proceeding the career within the church.
That's right, yeah.
What character is this man, Georg?
Georg is he's someone who deeply believes in the faith and in the Catholic faith as being the true church, and he's quite a tolerant guy to start with, and he's essentially he's a good man, and he sees the church as something that's for all the people. But as with a lot of those big organizations, and especially at that time, the Catholic Church was very corrupt, and he's given this position of a prior in the monastery which is quite a position of authority, and he's not ruthless enough for the job. So his conscience comes into conflict with what he has to do in order to deal with the Anabaptists. And he goes through the motions, and he does believe that the church overall is a power for good, and some bad things have to be done in order to maintain the position of the church. But ultimately he's someone who finds out that he's quite weak and that he doesn't really have true convictions that he thought he had.
Do you feel comfortable? Was it okay for you? How did you sense?
Well, I've got a lot of my stuff to do in Budapest, so I've only done a few days so far, but yeah, it feels good, you know. Feels good. I've had this done, so yeah, I don't really think about it until afterwards, you know.
Do you have to touch it to become aware that it's somehow bald there? Is it a strange feeling? Does it itch, or
No, it feels fine. I forget it's there but if you're outside and it's cold, it's very, very cold on the top of your head.
Then you're aware of it.
That's why they had it done. The tonsure was because it meant God could shine directly down onto your head.
That's interesting.
Yeah, that's why it was done.
So does he shine directly down into your head? Do you have?
I hope so.
Fabio is very jealous and very isolated, and feels that the world is unjust. Basically, he's a cripple, and he will never be loved by Anna, and yet he's always wanted to be loved by Anna. So I think Fabio, although he's not articulate, he is very, very intelligent, and he uses that. I think people underestimate him, and that's how he works his way through the film. So it's very easy for me, because I just have to allow myself to be as jealous as Fabio would be jealous. And if I wake up every morning and don't keep myself in check, I could be the most jealous person in the world. I'm sure we all could.
He is a hurt human being.
Yeah. He's completely isolated. He doesn't feel like he belongs with anyone. And it's funny, it's very interesting playing the scenes where Fabio has to whip the people who are being executed before they're executed. And you can sense that Fabio is taking out all his aggression on these people. And for that moment in time, he isn't the lowest rung of the ladder, these people are. And Fabio really enjoys whipping these people, because it gives him a higher self-esteem, even if it's only for a couple of minutes. He suddenly belongs with everybody else, and there is somebody else who's a baser element than him.
What makes you decide when you read a script to take on a part?
I think if the film is trying to say something, I enjoy that. If the film isn't just out to make money, I watched a documentary recently with Clint Eastwood when he said, you can't set out to make a successful film. You can only make the film that you want to make. And if I read a script and I think, actually, this is the film that these people want to make, they're not trying to make money. They're not trying to say, listen, if we do this, we can get this return. What they're doing is they're saying, this is something that we want to say that's very fascinating. It fascinates us, and therefore we'll share it. I always trust that point of reference rather than somebody just out to make money, because usually they're trying to manipulate an audience rather than share with an audience. And I always feel that an audience enjoys a film more when it comes from the heart and it's shared. And I think The Henchman's Tale is that. This is a film that it's a fascinating period of time, and because it's fascinating, that fascination is shared with the audience. You're not trying to manipulate them to go and buy, if you watch this movie, then go to McDonald's and buy this doll, or have this hamburger, nothing like that. So that's a very important thing for me.
This story is about young people growing up in that period, and it's a very bloodthirsty period. Obviously, as I said, full of conflict, battles, loyalties, jealousies, and strong friendships. And the central part of the film is why I liked it. I mean, it's a good story of a friendship between two boys who knew each other from childhood, and they grow up and they go in completely different ways. And the tension of the film is the balance between these two people and where their loyalties lie. And I play an archbishop who might be friendly and he might not be friendly, and we don't quite know. And I am befriended by and take under my wing one of these young boys, and he travels with me and pursues that side of his story. And there is a big conflict at the end, which I won't spoil the story by telling you. But basically, we follow the lives of these two young men, their loyalties, their loves, and the people like myself, and Stephen Berkoff, who plays the Inquisitor, the Spanish Inquisition, in fact,
So
and the huge pressures which these people place over their lives.
So you represent the authority at the time,
Yes.
as Archbishop within this story. What do you think? What kind of character was a man at that time? You know, having all this power, having all this authority a man could have.
Well, power means control, and control can be abused. Power can be abused. The church had a lot of the wealth and a lot of the advantageous conditions that the position appropriated. Comfort, all kinds of comfort. This could be abused, or, it could be a sign of strength.
You have been playing, or you had to have a lot of roles in major Hollywood productions. This is European productions. 6 different countries are co-producing this film, A Henchman's Tale. A lot of different languages are being spoken on the set. Yeah. Is there a distinct difference between, let's say, Hollywood production versus European phenomena on the set here?
Not so much now, because I think techniques and methods have become universal. There could be a difference in the temperament, in the nature of it, and in the concern for the aesthetic values much more in Europe. Sometimes in American movies it's, very much concerned with the producers all checking and looking and sending notes back to the director. I prefer this way of working. I feel it's more humane and it's more interesting. And also I'm a European, so I feel more connection with this.
6 different nationalities are represented. A 7th nationality is the nationality of the director. He's from Switzerland. Does this, the different languages and the different cultural backgrounds of the people here, does this represent some sort of problem to communicate and misunderstandings?
No, not a bit. In fact, I find them more easy to communicate with in 6 different languages or 6 different nations than I do with one nation in Los Angeles, because there is a kind of concern for the whole film. There's a very good feeling amongst everybody that we're all connected to make something good, and all the variety of races actually creates a more tastier stew. It's more interesting than the kind of, okay, next shot, and a little bit kind of over materialistic attitude in the States. So I like this very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Berkoff.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
In quiet nights, those desperate frights, I feel you in my dreams, though I'm ripped at the seams. I wait for that magical date, shadow of my love. I pray for a miracle. I'll kiss you if you only knew. Shadow of my love. Now that you're gone, just like these will never change. What if I shed a tear every day, every year? I pray, when will you be here? Shadow of my love, I pray for a miracle. I'll kiss you if you only knew. Shadow of my love, now that you're gone, I remember that cold last shadow of my love, I pray for a miracle. I'll kiss you if you only knew. Shadow of my love, now that you're gone, I remember that cold last day. I'll wait for the miracle. I'll kiss you if you only knew. Shadow of my love, now that you're gone, I remember that cold last day.
Hello, Mum.